Welcome to the VIOLA Decor Studio channel. Today we will make a delicate box in the Provence style. This is not very complicated, but multi-layered work. We will create the effect of an old box that was used for a long time and lovingly, and the box in return gently stored your jewelry. First, we will make volumetric elements using a silicone mold with lavender flowers and twigs. For this, I used ordinary construction plaster. But for this mold, it was not a very good decision because the elements turned out to be fragile. To fill half of the mold, 2.5 tablespoons with a slide of dry plaster are enough. Pour water to the state of liquid yogurt. Pour the mixture into the mold, level the surface, expel air bubbles from the mixture. Do this quickly enough because plaster hardens very quickly. Leave to dry naturally. When the elements dried, very carefully remove them from the mold. At this stage, it became clear that gypsum was not the right solution because the elements simply broke when removed. It is better to use an elastic self-hardening mass and freeze in the freezer for removal. But this did not prevent me from composing the composition I needed, even from particles of elements. I made lavender sprigs on 3 sides of the box, except for the back. The key to a good result is the quality of the base. So the wooden workpiece must be sanded with sandpaper, especially the ends, and clean it from dust. I also strongly recommend removing all metal fittings before starting work. I have concealed mounting fittings in this box, so I do not remove anything. Before starting work, prime or paint the outer surface of the box with white acrylic paint. I did not prime the inner part. I will have a darker paint there. It will be enough. Dry the surface well. The outer part of the box will be decoupage. I have a decoupage card on thin rice paper, the main picture with an Italian landscape for the lid of the box, and a background pattern in a cell for the sides. As a result, it gives not only a pattern, but also an interesting texture of rice paper. The even edges of the paper, just like when working with a napkin, tear off for better adhesion to the surface. Glue the rice paper with decoupage glue in the same way as a napkin. That is, apply glue directly to the napkin and smooth the glue well through the paper. It is much easier to work with rice paper because it does not give creases. Apply glue supposedly from the center to the edges. If necessary, add glue under the rice paper, directly on the surface. Dry very well. On the side parts of the box, decoupage each side separately, dry also. Before decoupage, fasten the top and bottom parts of the box with a paint sketch. After everything is glued and dried well, cut the rice paper on the sides of the box with a sharp stationary knife. If you do not dry it completely, the paper will wrinkle and not cut, like mine. Therefore, dry well and cut carefully. After drying, remove the remains of the decoupage card from the sides of the surface with sandpaper. After that, the edges of the napkin may move away from the surface, so be sure to cover the surface again with decoupage glue, paying special attention to the ends. Glue the main picture on the lid of the box. In the same way, apply decoupage glue from the center to the edges. Dry well. Since the picture itself is smaller than the lid of the box, I plan to paint over and continue the picture on the entire surface of the box. But the side pieces of the decoupage card did not cover the entire surface of the box, and as a result, white stripes remained in the corners of each side of the box. So, I decided to leave them and emphasize them, and basically left them white, so I painted them evenly with white acrylic paint. For evenness, use masking tape. Remove the tape immediately after painting. Do not let it dry, because the tape will then drag both the paint and the decoupage with it. Then dry the paint well. Please share this video with your friends so that more people can create with us. I painted the inside of the box with a contrasting color of acrylic paint. I chose the color of lavender. Dry well. Now let's move on to the three-dimensional decor. Assemble a composition of three-dimensional elements for each side. Glue the elements with transparent acrylic glue, liquid nails. The butterfly chose the handle for the lid of the box as a handle. Glue and dry each side separately. Before moving on to the next side, let it dry for at least a couple of hours. Complete drying, 24 hours. Since my elements are made of plaster and broke when I took them out of the mold, there are small cracks between them. This does not look good, so it is important to close them. This can be done using a regular construction finishing putty. Apply a small amount of putty with a palette knife to the cracks and level the surface. Dry well. Even very well-dried gypsum is not white and very porous, so it is imperative to prime or paint with white acrylic paint. Paint carefully so as not to stain the main surface. Pay special attention to the ends of the decorative elements. Dry well. For further tinting and patination, it is important to cover the entire surface of the box with acrylic water-based varnish. This will make these processes easier and more beautiful. Pay special attention to the relief of the decorative elements. Let the varnish dry naturally. I decided to add beautiful vintage legs to the box. With their bronze color, they stand out from the white image of the box. Therefore, I painted the legs with white acrylic paint. Let them dry well, and then glue the legs to the box with universal acrylic transparent glue. Let the glue dry naturally for at least a day. Pay attention to the ends inside the box. Often, paint and varnish get on them and can give ugly streaks. Therefore, it is important to remove them with sandpaper. I also added a small volumetric element to the inside of the box. Glue it to the lid of the box with universal acrylic transparent glue. Let the glue dry naturally for at least a day. And I also painted the inner ends with white acrylic paint. And also cover the entire inner surface with acrylic water-based varnish. Let the varnish dry naturally. At this time, keep the box open. It turned out that for uniformity of color, the legs need to be coated with paint twice. Now you can move on to tinting and patination. This will allow you to highlight and decorate the decorative volumetric elements and assemble the image of the box into a single whole. For tinting, I took paint colors to match the pictures and image, that is, lavender, green, and black. You need to take a little paint and dilute it a lot with water. And now use this colored water to tint the three-dimensional elements. Since the paint has become very liquid, it will easily go into the entire relief of the elements and tint them beautifully and beautifully. Apply the horn paint well so that it flows everywhere, but without fanaticism so that it does not flow from the surface. Do and dry each side separately. Under the influence of a hairdryer, the paint will spread a lot, so blow with a hairdryer all the time from different sides to supposedly hold the liquid paint in place. In the same way, tint the legs of the box with black liquid paint. Dry well. If necessary, do this several times until the desired look. With a damp cloth, remove excess paint exclusively from the protruding surface of the decorative elements and legs. Now, patina these white stripes on the corners of the box, which I had from the lack of decoupage paper. Apply liquid black acrylic paint in chaotic movements, creating a watercolor effect similar to the one in the picture. I made a shadow on the border between the picture and the white stripe. Remove the excess with a damp cloth. Dry each side separately. Now you can support the channel and become a sponsor. In the subscriptions, there are options with additional video tutorials and training from me. I will be happy to create with you. Details in the description of the video. Also, add such shadows on the bottom, lid, and inside the box. It is good to dry each side so that the paint does not run when you turn the box over. Let the box dry naturally. To prevent the box from sticking together in the future, let the box dry in the open state for several days. preferably at least 3 to 4. And now the final touches. With white acrylic paint, use a thick bristle brush to create a white patina using the dry brush technique. That is, take a very small amount of paint on the edge of the brush, knock off the excess on a cloth, and apply it with light movements to the protruding relief of the decorative elements. This will allow you to highlight the internal darkening even more. Just do not take a lot of paint on the brush, because this will heavily paint over the surface of the elements and cover the internal tinting. Do you think it got better with white, or was it really unnecessary? Write in the comments whether it was worth making it. How do you like the result? I'm delighted! The box turned out to be very gentle and romantic. Butterflies and bees are generally wonderful. Write your impression in the comments. If you liked it, like it, subscribe to the channel, and let's create together. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. With love, Anna Viola Decor.